In summary, Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, the impeachment motion before you is the third one in barely a year presented before the Assembly against the Honorable Governor KAWIRA MWANGAZA. The first impeachment motion was presented before the Assembly on 22nd of November 2022. It did not reach the Senate because the High Court issued an order preventing the MCAs from debating it. The second one was filed on the 5th of December, and it was brought before this Assembly. It contained, Mr. Speaker, 62 charges of nepotism, illegal appointments, usurpation of the constitutional and statutory functions of county organs. It contained allegations on incitement, bullying, and vilification of other leaders, a matter now still before you. It revolved around disrespect to the Assembly through forceful entry and mobilization of riots against the Assembly, a matter now before you in different particulars. It involved violation of public finance management laws. Again, a matter before you, only the facts have changed, the fundamental problem remaining. And then, of course, that motion came here and it did not succeed. Notably, Mr. Speaker, when we came, the governor took the posture of an innocent and vulnerable victim of toxic masculinity, harmful patriarchy, gender stereotyping, gender discrimination, and political machinations. And in short, the governor took the posture that if something went wrong in Meru, as we submit, something has been terribly wrong in Meru for a year now and counting, our defense was, it wasn't me. It reminded us of Shaggy's song, Mr. Speaker, in which a young man is caught engaging in some hanky-panky, and even though he recorded on camera, he is caught in with all the evidence, a singular response through and through, it wasn't me. After we moved from this Senate, Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, even though the Senate dismissed the charges, it gave the governor many pieces of free advice, free lessons on how to run the county. And after we left here, there was a brief honeymoon of peace in Meru, lasting only a few weeks. This honeymoon was characterized by courtesy calls by various leaders pledging in public to support the governor and promises by the governor that she would turn over a new leaf and Meru would be lastly peaceful and orderly and run in accordance with the Constitution. When we came here, Mr. Speaker, I recall prefacing our presentation about, or rather with the story of a leader in Europe who that time we were telling you had waged wars on all four directions of the campus, north, south, east, and west, on each direction. This leader was at war with another country and another civilization for no good reason. Today, Mr. Speaker, we want to preface the motion before you with yet another allegory from Europe about the tragedy of a man from Russia called Kondratiev. This was a multi-talented Russian citizen who was a poet, publisher, oralist, military officer. He was the embodiment of all the nice things a single man can achieve in a single lifetime. He was implicated in a treasonable act called the Decembrist Uprising of 1825 in Russia, which sought to depose the Russian monarch. Those days the monarchs were called Tsars, from office. And after he was convicted of this offense, he was sentenced to public execution by quartering. This is a method of execution, Mr. Speaker, that evolved tying the 4 limbs to a horse, and the horse is being driven in different directions, or cutting the body in 4 pieces and exposing the bowels and whatnot. Pleas were made to Sir Nicholas, who was the monarch, that this was too macabre a method of execution, and even though the sentence could not be vacated, the king was implored to impose a more humane way of execution, and the king agreed that Kodrati Rayalev could be executed by hanging, which I think is the method in our laws for executing people. On the day of execution, and in those days, Mr. Speaker, executions were done in public stadiums, like Nyayo Stadium, full of people and spectators. So on the day of execution, this gentleman is led to the gallows, the crowds watching in the full stadium, and as he fell, you know, you're supposed to fall so that your neck breaks and you die, the rope broke, and Kodrati Rayalev fell to the ground, and after a few seconds of dizziness, he dusted himself and addressed the gathering, telling the crowd, you see, in Russia, they don't know how to do anything properly. They don't even know how to make a rope. We are submitting, Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, that by the governor persisting in the very series of misconduct that brought us here 1 year ago, the only change being the particulars, she's actually telling you that you see in Kenya, the Senate doesn't know how to do anything properly, not even how to impeach a rogue governor. Anyway, after this guy fell to the ground, in Russia then this was considered a message from the gods, that the gods did not intend the prisoner to be executed, and the king was allowed to grant a pardon if this type of miracle happened. So, a messenger was sent on horseback to the monarch in a large white horse to tell him about this miracle and request the monarch, as was the custom in Russia, to sign the pardon. And indeed, the monarch began drafting the pardon, and just as he was about to sign it, he asked the messenger, by the way, did Rayalev say anything when this miracle of breaking of the rope in a public hanging occurred? And of course, the messenger told the king, yes, he said, in Russia, they don't know how to do anything, not even how to make a rope. And the monarch said, in that case, let us prove the contrary. The monarch tore the pardon and directed that the execution be repeated the following day, and this time, the rope did not break, marking the end of the sad story of Kodrati Rayalev, a Russian poet, singer, military officer, and many other things.